wanted more. Happy and telling I had to leave them. A couple musicians on the roster. My turnover rate, I'm like K-Pasta. Rasta, the leader of a band. My piece over in, I had to cease it for the fans. Overstand and understand my new plan. I'm telling you, legacy means freedom.
Legacy means freedom. Oh, yeah.
If no loyalty status committing treason, I'm more cautious than ever for many reasons. Gold mine in Africa be selective. But what people you pity should be respected. I'm telling you, legacy means freedom. If I don't feed them, then they won't eat. If I don't talk to a man, they won't speak.
I created a band called Legacy and Triumph. After being a solo rapper, writer, artist, and president of a label in my mid-20s, as a solo artist, I didn't want to be on stage in my late 30s with a CD playing as my background track. So I gathered live musicians and learned the guitar for a fuller sound. I used to think to myself, like, what is this brother doing on stage, playing the guitar, leading a band? People aren't going to get it. They're not going to understand this sound. But we built a small following locally. But the people who supported me as a solo rapper didn't really support me as a musician with a band. We weren't able to go further past the city of Indianapolis due to not enough support and being in a city that isn't that musically popular. And some of the musicians have families, so it was hard for them to travel without guaranteed compensation. Also, COVID happened as well. I never wanted to be famous. I just wanted people to hear what I was saying. The lyrics were too heavy for commercial appeal, and original music doesn't grab audiences as much as cover songs. This music and these lyrics were like a soundtrack to my life. I knew I suffered from depression, but didn't want people to know in fear of being stigmatized or people thinking that I was looking for attention. People thought I was this local rap star, but I felt like nothing. Creativity has always been part of my existence. I've always loved rapping and writing and poetry to combat negative thoughts from past experiences. This was my positive psychology, my well-being, my positive safe space. This built my character strength and helped me find a meaning and purpose. When I'm on stage, it feels like a good life. The music, the rehearsals, the live shows were keeping me from being in a depressed space. I was always searching for a positive outlet. Since I discovered these negative emotions, and music was that outlet. Before the band started, I was that solo rapper in my late 20s. I didn't want to be the old rapper trying to make it, so I decided I needed a career. So I became a fireman and an interpreter. Being a firefighter had never been a thought, but I tried something new and needed a real occupation. During recruit school, I didn't understand the severity of the job until later in my career. I knew I was equipped for the job of saving lives and running and burning buildings, but I didn't feel comfortable with the culture. In this new structured system, I didn't feel like I belonged amongst this paramilitary environment. I was just another number and felt like there was nowhere for me to be creative. So I continued music outside of that as a main source of comfortability. Some thought I didn't appreciate the opportunity to be a firefighter, but it wasn't that. I just didn't know how to adapt outside of it. The music scene was where I was embraced and empowered, but inside I was still empty. In college, I was an exceptional athlete, but that is where I began to see signs of depression. I had more time alone to think about past trauma. Despite those feelings, I continued to push through and earn my degree and track accolades. Being a standout athlete helped me focus on something other than my negative thoughts. I just continued to persevere through regardless of how I felt. I just fought through it without any help but from my grandmother and God. The two boys I inherited, one deaf and one hearing, I try to check their own well-being and mental state often to make sure they don't succumb to pressures of life. I know people think kids don't have worries, but it is important to me to pick their brains often to see what they're thinking. I just like to know what's going on in those heads of theirs.
Black is no different from white, but why would they have slavery if black isn't different? Like, because white and black are kind of the same, so why does black have to be punished and white have fun?
I think you're an awesome kid. Do you plan on becoming the president of the whole entire world someday?
Yeah, and when I do, I'm going to stop slavery now.
Is that what you're going to do?
Yes.
How you going to do that?
And I also want to avoid this situation for them and myself. Reflecting on life and realizing how it actually displayed grit is an accomplishment. I never felt I had an extraordinary natural-born talent, but pushed myself to be better than I was yesterday. I look at the world as a beautiful display of art that I could dive into and block those thoughts. When I discovered the growth mindset and grit, I realized that I had been displaying that throughout my entire life, regardless of setbacks from childhood and adulthood. All along, I had this inner will to be great. I had to teach myself a positive mindset to get through hurdles and overcome some trials and tribulations. My recent travels to Tanzania made me think of the things that aren't important anymore. Material is no longer part of my structure. I feel like I was put on this earth to serve others. I now minimize the things that don't add value to my existence. I want to learn and explore other areas of myself and connect with the people who are like-minded. I realize I have a lot to offer and a gift of self-discovery, and I will continue to sustain that positive state so that I can continue to be a light to the world.
A little love song. A little love song. So simple, all